Greetings. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. It's Wednesday, and as you know, on Wednesday evenings, we do this collective tarot card reading. So, if you're part of the collective, which you are, that's why you're watching this video, stay tuned because what we're going to do is a tarot reading just for you. Now, if you would like specifically a tarot reading just for you, you can check the link that is pinned in the comments here. And after the collective reading, we can do one specifically for you. So let's get started. To begin, it helps to see that today's energies are saturated with fire. Nice. We've got Leo, which is where our sun is currently placed. And we've got Sagittarius, which is where the moon currently finds herself. So what does this mean? What does it mean when the sun is in Leo and the moon is in Sagittarius? In general, we've got a lot of movement, a lot of activity, a lot of changes, a lot of transformation, because that's what the element of fire is all about, transformation. Specifically, it would depend on what house these two signs occupy. For me, Sagittarius is my rising sign, my ascendant. So that would be my first house, right? So there would be something very specific happening for me in my first house of self and identity, since I'm a Sagittarius rising. And if you're a Sagittarius rising, then that same thing goes for you as well. So 1, 12, 11, 10, 9, that would mean that my ninth house is Leo. The sun being there means that there's a lot of activity going on when it comes to hard work and sacrifice and that kind of thing. So, just to make sure we've got everything situated. Peace, peace to my favorite people in the universe. Peace, Zero. Peace, peace, Koi Sewell. Good to see you. Kevin Wise, peace and greetings. All right, so with that being said, it'll help if you do know your rising sign. It'll help if you know where Leo is in your chart and where Sagittarius is in your chart. Even if you don't know, that's fine. That's why this is the collective reading. In a way, we're doing a reading for the Earth, right? Because right now the Earth has the sun in Leo and the moon in Sagittarius. Kennard, peace and greetings. JD Temple, peace, peace, peace. Okay. So let us go ahead and begin. Sun in Leo, moon in Sagittarius. Collective reading. A lot of transformative fire happening right now. A lot of transformative fire, especially if you have one of these fire signs here in a prominent area of your chart, or an area in your chart that has to do with self work, that shadow work, that your ideals, your goals, that kind of thing. So I'm talking about first house, we're talking about third house, um, sixth house. If you've got one of these signs in your ninth house, right? And of course, the 12th house. All right. Divine Roberts, peace. Divine Roberts says, I have Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Venus, Pluto, Uranus, Mercury, Scorpio, Mars, Libra. That's a lot. That's a lot. Wait, Sagittarius, Sun. Oh, you're listing different things. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Venus, Pluto, Uranus. Well, hey, that's nice. Well, Zero says, my Leo is the first and Sagittarius is my fourth. Okay. First house being, like I said, self and identity. Your fourth house being home, your immediate family. You could even say generational karma, that kind of thing. Maxwell Alali, peace, peace. Thank you, thank you. Jay Balateo, peace and greetings. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, so JD Temple says Aries, Leo rising, Aquarius moon. Okay, so you got Leo rising. That means that Leo's your first house. So that Sagittarius would be your fifth house. House of pleasure, creativity, entrepreneurship, that kind of thing. AZW, peace and greetings. Peace and greetings. All right. So this is the reading for the collective. We are taking the temperature, the spiritual temperature of what's going on right now. And I can already tell this will have a lot to do with waking some things up from the subconscious and actually putting them to work. We've talked about it, we've dreamed about it, but a lot of you have actually started to put these things to work. And that's awesome. That's what this is all about. Faith without works is dead. That's what the Bible says. That's what the Bible said. All right. And of course, if you would like a personal reading after this collective reading, just send me a donation to either Cash App or PayPal. Those two links are pinned at the top of the comments. So here we go. Void Stranger, peace, peace. Fantana Road, peace and greetings. I knew that when you saw my story that I would see you here tonight. So hopefully there's something good here for you as well. I know there will be. I know there will be. You're doing good things out there, so you can expect nothing less than what aligns with your frequency. And you got a powerful one, that's for sure. Just for sure. Just a thought. Peace, peace. I love you, bro. Thank you for your amazing content and the knowledge you have taught me. My pleasure, seriously. It's what I'm here to do. Okay, collective reading. We start with options. What a beautiful word. Options. Let me tell you, anyone who's struggling or suffering, there's, I would even say 9 times out of 10, chance that they feel like they do not have options. And that's what we kick this reading off with tonight. The Seven of Cups astrologically represents Venus in Scorpio. So Venus, we can think about the beautiful things. We can think about luxury. We can think about comfort. We can think about being in a place where you're comfortable. And that sounds like a place of options to me. The Scorpio aspect deals with secrets, deals with transformation. So let's put that together. Secrets and transformation. The first thing that comes to my mind is almost thinking about how when you have access to so many different things, and for the longest time, you're just enjoying that. And eventually, as you get older, as you get wiser, more mature, you start to think, maybe there's more to life than just having stuff. I think that would be a good example of having these options, having comfort, but also the spirit of transformation, the spirit of secrets, right? And Scorpio, of course, also deals with the sexual aspect. Speaking from the occult perspective, The sexual energy is the energy that causes all of life to move. It's that Kundalini fire. And it is that fire that transforms. When we talk about fire, Leo's a fire sign, Sagittarius is a fire sign. Occult speaking, alchemically speaking, fire is the transformative aspect. So this is what we're dealing with, the transformation of your options. Because maybe you're ready for something new. Let's keep going. Six of Cups. Six of Cups. A lot of water energy here so far. So it looks like this is happening in the realm of emotion, the realm of the astral, which is where you want this thing to happen, because the physical plane is the plane of effect. It's already done. If you want to change your circumstances, if you want to create a new reality for yourself, you got to at least start in the astral. If you can raise yourself to the mental plane, which is not easy to do that. But either way, real change is going to come from stirring up the waters here or slicing up the air. Now, the Six of Cups is going to be represented, astrologically speaking, by the sun in Scorpio. So we got another Scorpio card here. Scorpio being a fixed sign, Leo being a fixed sign. These things are going to amplify each other. Transformation. Now, with this particular card, what I often see is that the transformation is happening when one gives to another. Now, I always say you choose where you are. You would know best, right? It's your life. Either you are moving into a space where somebody can help you by giving you something, or you're moving into a space where you will become transformed by helping and sharing and giving to someone else. Now, rest assured, this type of spiritual transference, this energetic transference, is coming from a good place. This is not one of those scenarios where someone expects you to do something for them, right? It's not fine print that you're gonna miss. What we're dealing with is you coming into something that you deserve. You coming into something that is yours, right? So hopefully you've been working on removing any feelings of guilt about abundance. Hopefully you've been removing any feelings of anxiety or doubt or fear about moving into that next phase of your life. Hopefully you've been working on that. Hopefully you've come into a space where you realize that what it is that you desire is yours. And where we're entering to now is the season of transformation. That's the Scorpio energy here, that season of transformation. There are options now, new options. And it looks like there's a transference that is going to be channeled through a person, through a person. As I say, the seasons in our life shifts not based on time, but based on the people that we meet. It's always somebody that introduces you to that next level. Good stuff coming through. Four of Pentacles. When you see this card, let me know in the chat. What do you think? What type of energy does this card have behind it? What type of symbolism? Like, what does this say to you when you see this card? I think of Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind. What do you think of? Antenna Rose says holding on to. Sigma Sage says security. Okay, I can see that. So most certainly this Four of Pentacles, astrologically speaking, represents the sun in Capricorn. Now, of all the signs, I think it could be said that Capricorn is probably the best when it comes to handling money. The sun being there puts this essence of responsibility, this essence of being able to acquire and maintain, that essence being in the sun, moves this to the center of what we're doing here. Now, I mentioned abundance before, and I want you to understand that abundance is not anything tangible. Abundance does not mean stuff. It doesn't mean car, house, clothes, jewelry, money, paper bills, Bitcoin dots on the screen. Abundance doesn't mean any of those things. Abundance is a frequency. And when you exist in that frequency, of course, those things begin to manifest and materialize for sure. But when we talk about abundance, we're talking about existing, and that means your beliefs, that means your recurring thoughts, that means your physical actions, that means your emotions. All those things existing in a state where you realize that you have what you need, where you're not lacking, where you're not scrambling and scraping. When you have not just enough, but more than enough. In that state, as long as you hold on to it, live in it, and believe it, all those other things start to come into fruition, right? Prakriti, reality, the matrix, she proves to you where you are vibrationally. She proves it to you based on where you vibrate. So look at the pentacle on his mind, right? Could have put it anywhere else, but this is what we're talking about. This is where this is where he is, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, physically. We're in a place of handling abundance. So let's put these three together. We've got options. We've got options. Maybe the way that you have been looking at your environment and your lifestyle and where you want to be, maybe that's transformed. Maybe that's changed based on the fact that you started to learn new definitions about where you're going in life. Maybe the values of what you appreciate, maybe those have started to shift. For whatever reason, you're seeking new options and you're finding new options, which is wonderful because what you look for shows itself to you. Of course, if you're not looking for it and if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to get anything. But having these options are pointing you in a direction of where you want to be. Now, it looks like you're entering into the next season, which is going to be characterized by either an individual or a group of individuals, someone that is going to help you by transferring something to you. You would know best what that means because you know your life. It's either that or you're stepping into a place where you're going to give something to someone. You're going to transfer something to someone. Either way, that transference is going to cause a shift for both parties involved. And ultimately, that shift is, we could say, the universe's way of proving to you that you are where you've been vibrating at. Your mind has shifted, your heart has shifted. You're starting to move in such a way that you believe in yourself. You're starting to move in such a way that you believe in your magic. You're starting to move in such a way that you're taking yourself seriously. So everything else is starting to correspond with that. Isn't that wonderful? Cheers. I tell you what, I have been gradually getting myself closer and closer to the state that that I knew that I could get to because I've been there before, but I feel like I kind of fell away from it. So I've been doing some very consistent, very intense rituals, um, going deeper and deeper into the layers of my own subconscious mind and really seeing some of the building blocks of what's created who I am today, like this moment, right? What's created these beliefs that I've been holding on to? What's created these routines, these habits, these patterns? So I got into analyzing them and breaking them down and really seeing them and doing a sort of spiritual surgery on myself by removing what doesn't serve me anymore and amplifying what I want. Hopefully, you've been going through something like that as well in your own way. Sigma Sage says chanting helps significantly. Absolutely. I'm back on my mantras. Back on my mantras. Planetary mantras. Shiva mantras. Mahamrityunjaya mantra. tattva mantras, right? You know what works for you. Find you something. If you don't know, experiment. All right. So this collective reading, what we've got so far, your options are looking good. Expect assistance or go ahead and be of assistance. Either way, initiate that transference, right? It's the flow, it's that currency. It's from one state to the next state. Do that. Because what you're proving is that you're where you've been resonating, where you've been reaching forwards, all the work that you've been putting in for the past couple of months, maybe longer, all that consistent work that you've been putting in, you're now starting to see the fruits. Because it starts in the subtle plane and then it brings forth blossoms and nectar in the physical plane, but only after the roots have been thoroughly founded. Thank you, J Baltail. Patchwork. Absolutely. Yes, I did. Got you up next. Okay, so let's see the second half of what we can expect here for the next week. We're moving right into this full moon. So what we're seeing here should amplify more and more. Um, Let me know in the chat if you've noticed the past couple of days, there has been a significant shift in either your physical routine, your mental habits, or your emotional habits, right? Maybe before there were kind of spikes, maybe there were like a season of rise and fall, but let me know if somewhere within the past 7 days you've noticed like an amplification of yourself getting like where you've been wanting to be. You ever been like trying to get yourself in a state of maybe physical peak performance, mental peak performance, or emotional peak performance? You ever like try to get yourself there, but it seems like you're playing on hard mode, expert mode, like it's more difficult than usual? What do you do when it's like that? What do you do when it's like you're trying to get yourself maybe to eat better? You're trying to get yourself to meditate more. You're trying to get yourself to study more. When you're trying to get yourself to do something that's going to benefit you, but it seems like it's more difficult today than it should be. What do you do? Do you, are you hard on yourself? Like, do you kind of kick yourself like, get the fuck up. We're supposed to be doing this. We're supposed to be doing this. Like, are you rough on yourself? Do you feel like you're doing something wrong? Do you condemn yourself? Like how do you handle yourself in that state? Because mind you, like I said, it's you're not getting there at the pace you want to. That's understood. So in the meantime, what are you doing to yourself? You don't know this, but let's say you don't know this, but 7 days from now, you've entered that state that you're trying to get at, and it's uphill from there. But you don't know that, right? So it seems like you're kind of stuck here forever, right? You can't see 7 days in advance, so you're dealing with it day after day. Like, what the fuck is going on? How do you handle yourself in those moments? Because what I want to tell you is that how you handle yourself in those moments, you have a possibility of making it take longer. I don't want to say stopping it or blocking your blessing because I don't believe that you can stop what's yours, but you can certainly delay it. You can certainly delay it. And I think it's helpful to look at nature for these patterns and to apply these patterns to ourselves. We're no different from nature. In fact, these bodies, these systems, these patterns are nature. And one thing about nature is that nature moves perfectly in sync with time. There's a time and there's a season. And what I know is that in the summertime, it gets hot. In the wintertime, it gets cold. Give or take a few degrees, depending on where you live. And to do summertime things in the winter doesn't really yield the best results. Doing wintertime things in the summer also doesn't yield the best results. Maybe you haven't been paying attention to the time, to the cycle. Wouldn't it suck if you got to that 7 days later and you realized that those past 2 months were supposed to be rest and recharge, but the whole time you were beating yourself up, kicking yourself, right? Wrestling with yourself, not understanding that it was time to chill. You tell me. Koi Soul says everything has been intensified, good and bad, but I see the potential growth. There's a lot you can learn from falling on your face. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Ah, the Empress. The Empress. So we're talking about fertility. We're talking about, again, I mentioned that this was Venus and Scorpio. This is straight up Venus. So when I say fertility, what I mean is creating an environment where things can amplify, where things can multiply, where things can grow, where things can blossom. This Empress energy is that particular vibration, that particular state, that particular frequency where you become fertile, right? And this does not just mean physical, obviously. If you're an artist, if you're a creator of some type, this is what you strive for frequently, because this is where these ideas come from. This is where these new concepts and new game plans and the seeds for the new strategies that you're going to output. It comes from the state of fertility. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that I often feel most creative and most comfortable when I have all my needs taken care of, right? When there's food in the fridge, when the bills are paid, when you've got everything that you need and nothing else to worry about, I think that it's so much easier to slip into this state because you can focus all your energy on what you want to do versus trying to make sure that everything else is taken care of, right? Peace, Louis. Let's keep going. The High Priestess. The High Priestess. Keyword here, subconscious mind. The High Priestess astrologically represents the moon. Now, I just talked about seasons, making sure that you know what season you're in so that you can behave and flow according to the time, right? You don't want to try to plant watermelon seeds when it's snowing outside. It simply doesn't make any sense. Likewise, perhaps what you're trying to do is possible, but you got to make sure you're in the right season, in the right phase. The subconscious mind, this is the ground. This is the ground that is fertile. This is the ground that is fertile. And like I mentioned with the rituals that I've been doing, when it comes to like working with your subconscious mind, it's not like you just jump on in and start changing stuff because you've got a 5-star security system to prevent that from happening. I don't know if any of you have ever listened to Brother Panic talk about the subconscious mind being like this club and the conscious mind, the ego, being like this bouncer, right? This bouncer with a list, and only exclusive, specific individuals can get into this club. It's a private club. The ego, the conscious mind, is going to block everything except for a few key elements. So understand, when it comes to working with your subconscious mind, either you got to know what those key elements are and slip things in with them in their pockets, or you've got to break down the entire building, dismantle it piece by piece. Now, that way might take more time and more effort, but this is one of the things that is possible with meditation. A lot of these rituals that have been spoken about in these texts, the lesser banishing ritual, we talked about a lot of these Indian rituals or meditations, I should say, with chakra shooting, with chiasterium, even, right? That gets you up out of the physical body. So you're one level. And this is what I've learned. You've got to see these bodies as layers or levels in a building. And if where you're trying to go as the top of the building to speak with the CEO, well, you're going to have to go level by level. Even if you're in an elevator, you're going to have to go level by level. So an exercise like chiasterium allows you to still your body so you can get past that physical level. An exercise like the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram allows you to harmonize with the energy and balance it so you can ascend past the etheric plane, right? And once you get to the astral, hopefully you've got some type of inner temple ritual. Hopefully you've got some kind of exercise where you can focus on the subconscious mind surrounded by the elements that enforce it and reinforce it. And in that way, you can gradually work yourself deeper and deeper into yourself. And as you maintain your frame, going deeper and deeper into yourself, going past this veil to speak with the goddess, you remember Anana's descent. If you've read this book, then you've seen it, and how she went deeper and deeper into the underworld. At each layer, at each level, she had to remove a layer of protection. She had to remove a certain uh, crystal or uh, her magical weapons. She had to remove them until when she got to where she was going, she was completely naked, defenseless. And that's what you have to do as well. Now, in this case, you're not going to be crucified, but you're going to have to remove your mask if you want to speak to your soul, is what I'm saying. You're going to have to remove your mask if you wish to see or hear what she has to say. Look at this bottom row, all queens of different degrees. Here we've got the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords, the swords being the mental plane, the air element. As I always say, the king initiates the command, and it's the queen who delegates the orders. So let's put this stuff together, right? She's the one who delegates the order. And by the way, if you take a look, she's very stoic. She's not ruled by her emotions. She's not ruled by the passions of her flesh. She's very straight to the point, cut and dry, no nonsense. Buddhi, perhaps you know what Buddhi is. Discernment, that kind of thing. So check this out. Let's look at this right here, and then we're gonna go back and put it all together. We're talking about the fertile ground. We're talking about the space and the place, the frequency, the vibration, where you receive these ideas. You don't create ideas, right? We don't. That's not what we do as human beings, but we do receive them because everything is present in these subtle planes. You got to tune your antenna, right? You've got to tune your radio tower, your satellite dish. And depending on what station you are on, that's what you're going to receive. So this Empress card here right now today is representing being very receptive to what it is that you want. See, oftentimes we want things, but we allow our emotions and our beliefs to block them. But what I just talked about was going past these layers of ego and getting straight to the receptivity. Now, speaking of that receptivity and that receptive state, the high priestess, this card represents the subconscious mind, it represents the moon. The moon is scheduled change. The moon changes, but if you pay attention, they are scheduled changes. They are seasons. It's about to be full. You can predict the full moon to the new moon with accuracy for thousands of years. It's scheduled, predicted change. And if you understand that schedule, you can make it to this fertile ground, right? It's better to plant when it's the new moon, and it's better to reap during the full moon. That's what I'm saying here. Know what time it is so you can move accordingly, and have a level of discernment with what you plant. Have a level of discernment with what it is that you're growing in this garden. And when I say discernment, I'm talking about know what's useful, know what's appropriate. What's your ultimate goal? When you understand your ultimate goal, you can slice away what's not useful. You can slice away what's not appropriate. Is this making sense? Does this apply to you? You tell me. Let me know if this applies to you, and let's run it back real quick. Right now, you're in a state of having options, transformational options. The beliefs that you have about the world, about your friends, your family, yourself, something in that realm has changed. And now you feel like you have a few more options or different options. In this state of being resourceful, we can call that being resourceful. In this newfound resourcefulness, you're going to come into contact with someone or some group that's going to prove a connection of exchange, energetic exchange. Or you're going to be the person or part of that group that's going to attach with people or attach with someone in need. And you're going to exchange that energy, right? These are connected. Because what that's going to lead to now is you proving to the physical world the vibration and the frequency that you've been in for these past couple of weeks or months. You've been living in abundance in your mind and you didn't let go. And what you're seeing now is that that frequency has started to give birth and bear fruit in the physical plane. You resonate in your mind, you hold on to it in your heart, and you act as if. See, it's not just about managing money. This card, the sun sun in Capricorn. It's not just about managing money. It's about living in that frequency, living in that vibe. Speaking of which, so you're living in that vibe. You've transferred the energy with, and you've got these options. Check this out. Now that leads to a state of fertility. That leads to a state of being open. To a state of being open. To what? To what it is you've been calling forth. To what it is you've been looking for. Each and every one of us desires something. Each and every one of us have a vision for our lives and things that we want. And that's being open towards those things. That's having your antenna facing those things. That's having your satellite dish pointed at those things because you're attempting to receive them. Now, because of beliefs and thought patterns, we actually block that signal. Those are the clouds that block the signal. But look, new options, right? New beliefs about reality. The receptivity is now open. The signal is clear. Take this time to analyze yourself. Get into your subconscious mind if you know how. If you don't know how, at least pay attention to your patterns, pay attention to your beliefs, and check yourself. Make sure that these things are in alignment with what you're trying to get. Utilize the sword of discernment. It's time to cut the bullshit away. It was actually time months ago, but if there's still some things you've been holding on to that you know for a fact don't align with the frequency you've been resonating at, that don't align with where you're actually trying to be and what you're supposed to be doing, if you're holding on to anything else that doesn't align with that, this is your chance to cut it off because it's accelerating now. The heat has been turned up. Even those of you who are holding on to Cancer season and still hiding in your shell, the water has boiled. That blue crab is now red, right? That it's now a red lobster. There's no more hiding in that shell. You've been pushed into action. Now it's not such a bad thing. You barely noticed it, but you've been pushed into action. So now that you've been pushed into action, make sure that you've got your mind right. Make sure that you're resonating in your thoughts, in your heart, in your action with where you're trying to go. Learn to trust somebody, right? You probably think that you can't trust anybody. Well, you might be shown an opportunity where it's time to trust. Examine these options, examine these beliefs. If you have the power or the skill to do so, tap into your subconscious mind, give yourself a thorough cleaning, right? Give yourself a checkup. If you don't have the skill to do that, well, perhaps you could see me about a consultation. This is a fertile period for you. So if you're a creative person, be on the lookout for these ideas. Hell, that might be the energy exchange that I was talking about. And of course, always have discernment. Make sure that everything that you're doing aligns with what's useful and appropriate for your goal. All right? All right. So I hope that that gives you some clues, some direction, something that you can actually work with, man. I know because I'm giving the reading, it's clear to me, but I'm really hoping that it's clear to you too, for sure. Oh, nice. Kennard says all the elements are presented here. Absolutely. We've got earth, we've got water, we've got, oh, not all the elements. Yeah, okay. So we got fire up here, fire season, and of course, air, Venus, and the moon. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of the feminine energy, right? Cups, pentacles, these three queens. So what that tells me is that there's, think about the feminine when we talk about the occult. There's a lot going on in the subconscious mind. There's a lot going on in these subtle receptive planes. So what this reading tells me is that this is the time to receive, not necessarily the time to like plant, not necessarily the time to like go out and try to change something, but perhaps this is the time to go within. Perhaps this is the time to clean the house, right? That's what I would like to say. Time to clean house. Star Lion, peace and greetings. Star Lion says, "You are not your mask." Right. The mask serves a purpose. That's why we have it. However, if your goal is to penetrate these subtle layers, you're gonna have to take that mask off. Look me in my brand new eye. Slipknot. Here is my real head. Real advanced. Here is my real head. Cool beans. Cool beans. All right. All right. So, um, if anyone would like for me to do a personal reading for them, for you, now's the time for that. Coming up next, I believe we have. Let's see, we've got patchwork. Okay. Cancer, Libra, Leo. Cancer, Libra, Leo. Okay. All right. Scanning the scene in the city tonight. Looking for you to start up a fight. There's an evil feeling in our veins. Running on our way, hiding. You will be dying. 1,000 deaths. Searching, seek and destroy. Searching, seek and destroy. Okay, so Cancer Sun, Libra Moon, Leo Rising. And MC Master says, how much does YouTube take off donations? I don't have Cash App at the moment. YouTube takes off 30%. 30%. Hell yeah, man. Old school Metallica. I think my favorite two albums are still Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning. I'm a much bigger fan of old school Metallica than the newer stuff. Okay, so Patchwork, did you have a specific question or did you want a general reading? Can't see it in the city tonight. Looking for you. Start a fight. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Okay, General. Oh, nice. Awakened Grace. Peace, peace. It's been a minute since I've seen you. How are you doing? What have you been up to, Grace? Good to see you. All right, so we're gonna do General. General. So if you happen to be a Cancer, Sun, this will apply to you as well. No coincidence. Tian Pomeroy, good evening, good evening. Hope you're having a good night. Okay. Run on away. Oh my gosh, the temperature has suddenly risen. Let me slap that air conditioner. Let me spin it around. Kind of with the big eyeball in the middle, you gotta turn it, you know. Okay. Framestar Films. Peace, peace, brother, peace. All right, Patchwork, here we go. This is general for you and anyone else who just happens to be a Cancer. All right, let's start here. Let's start here. So, One of Cups, Ace of Cups, we should say. Every time I see this card, I try my best to stay away from love and romance. But you know what? It's quite possibly that this is what's happening here. There's a new serving, hearty helping. There's a stirring in the heart. Perhaps there is possibly someone you just started talking to, or maybe somebody you might be kind of interested in, or they've revealed that they're kind of interested in you. There's something new here happening in these realms of emotional stuff, right? Like I said, I usually try to stay away from that, but I feel like this actually might be what's happening here. There's a stirring in the heart. Queen of Pentacles. The king sets the intent. The queen delegates these orders. The queen delegates these orders. So we talked about abundance before, and it mostly being a frequency, a place where your mind, where your heart, and where your beliefs are. And all the physical stuff follows after that. The pentacles represent physical manifestation of those things you believe in, physical manifestation of where you've been resonating, right? Stuff you've been thinking about, dreaming about, feeling about. Pentacles represent that. So, whatever you set in motion as an intent, it looks like right now is the space of you really putting the pieces where they go, sending out orders and delegating your time and your energy, perhaps the spirits that you work with, tasking these things to do what needs to be done. Uni's universe, peace. So, next comes the Two of Cups. Now, this falls right in line with the One of Cups, the Ace. So this is before in the last reading we talked about a transference, a connection where one person serves as the vessel for energy to flow to another person. In this case, we're talking about an exchange on an equal level. The Two of Cups is represented by Venus in Cancer. Venus in the sign of Cancer. So what we're talking about here is I talked about comfort when we say Venus. I've talked about fertility when we say Venus, right? Comfort, fertility, and even a sense of appreciation for luxury. So you take those things and you put them together with Cancer being the home, Cancer being the heart or that which protects the heart, Cancer being your immediate family, right? Venus in Cancer, Cancer might even being generational karma. Perhaps there's a bit of generational karma that is starting to be neutralized. Maybe you're breaking habits. Let's put these three together so far. So something new is stirring, bubbling, right? You specifically, you said clearing out emotional stagnation. Okay, okay, that's good. Cup runneth over. Clearing out emotional stagnation. So it looks like when it comes to your environment and your actual physical space, you're starting to get things in order. Maybe you're doing some house cleaning, right? Maybe you're with clearing out this emotional stagnation. Maybe that comes with getting rid of some things that you don't really need anymore. Maybe you have some items that are, a source of nostalgia for you, some sentimental items. Maybe you're putting things away finally. That's taken a long time for you to move away from. And in doing that, you're bringing yourself to a harmonized level. Remember, I said this is Venus in Cancer, Cancer being the home, Cancer being the immediate family, Cancer being generational karma, Venus being luxury, being fertility. Put those two things together, and what do you get? It sounds like a clean space, a clear space to do some real work, whether that's your physical space or whether this is the space of your heart. You've cleared it out, so now you have a sterile laboratory ready to go. Let me know how we doing so far. Patrick says, I have been manifesting a lot lately, though, through magic and physical action. Belial has helped me quite a bit. Very cool. It's been a bit of both. Okay. My gnosis. Peace and greetings. All right, let's see what the second row has to say. All right. The left out in the cold card, right? The Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles. So really, the key word for this card, at least for me and for these readings that I've been doing for you all, the key word that comes to mind here is patience. Why? Because the Five of Pentacles, astrologically speaking, is Mercury in Taurus. Now, when you think of Taurus, you think of the bull, and he's moving at his steady, slow pace. You're not going to rush him, right? You're not going to stop him either. The bull, Taurus, is moving at its own pace. Now, Mercury, on the other hand, zipping to and fro, here and there, fast, right? Mercury, Hermes, with the wings on the boots, zooming and zipping everywhere. So with Mercury contained within the energy of Taurus, the movement is limited. And you have two choices. You can go crazy, or and us signs ruled by Mercury know what I'm talking about here. That's Gemini and Virgo. You can go crazy, or you can learn how to focus that energy in one direction. And that's going to take patience. Next, we've got the Ten of Pentacles, one of the most favorite cards in the deck to pull in a reading, because this deals with the end of the story, and it's the happy ending. The happy ending. While the Ten of Cups really talks about the happy ending with friends and family and enjoying that happy life, this Ten of Pentacles deals with getting everything you asked for, getting everything you're asked for, you have asked for. Third Eye Nomad, peace, peace. Port Hill, peace and greetings. Yes, I am doing well. Thank you for asking. So, astrologically speaking, the Ten of Pentacles is Mercury as well, but it's Mercury in Virgo. Now, like I just said in this previous card, Mercury rules over Virgo. So everything is in its right place. Mercury rules Virgo. Virgo is analytical, paying attention to the details, and Mercury is the king of that, scanning the scene, making sure that everything's in its right place, right? Everything that the queen has ordered to be in its right place. We talked about structuring the home, clearing out your heart, clearing out your home to make sure everything is fresh, really, for what's about to come. It's going to take a bit of patience because now you're taking all those scattered thoughts, all those wayward emotions, and you're taking that light bulb and you're tuning it into a laser. You're pointing it into one singular direction. And that means that there are other interests and people who will feel like they're left out in the cold. But sometimes you've got to do what's right for you. You have to do what's right for you. Not sometimes, you always have to do what's right for you. This is the discipline card. Not only is it patience, but it's the discipline card. Taking wild and scattered Mercury and pushing him in one direction with Taurus. Now, what does that do? When you take that powerful mind of Mercury and force it in one direction like a laser, well, you get this. You get Mercury in Virgo. This is the manifestation card. Mad Bear, peace and greetings. Peace, peace. And lastly, we come again to this keyword of options. The Four of Cups is the moon in Cancer. Now, when you know your symbols, this becomes mathematic. I keep talking about the moon being predictable change, scheduled change. This is the moon in Cancer. Now, this card, I said everything in its right place because Mercury rules Virgo. This is Mercury in Virgo. Guess what? Guess what planet rules Cancer? Guess what planet rules the sign of Cancer? It's the moon. So again, everything in its right place. Options and patience. See, he has, right? But he's not satisfied just yet. Just yet. There's something more. He's looking at something that hasn't been manifested yet. See how these are in the grass, in the earth? These are manifested options. The option he's really looking forward to hasn't manifested yet. It's not tangible. He can feel it, he can sense it. It's on the tip of his tongue, it's on the edge of his thoughts. And he's waiting for it to arrive. Through focusing your thoughts, disciplining your thought process, right? And paying attention to the details of what you have built, what you're structuring, like what you're actually trying to do. Because you mentioned before, you're kind of cleaning through your heart space, cleaning through your physical space. Why are you doing that? Pay attention to the details. Why are you doing it? Why are you getting yourself right now? What's the reason for it? This is important because it's your why. Maybe that's not what's fully fleshed out yet. What I'm picking up from this and what I'm saying is that this is a great time for analysis. Like right now is a great time to get inside that subconscious mind and really see what's going on, really see what's happening. The same way that you said you're cleaning out house, you're clearing house. Do that with your beliefs, do that with your values. Check yourself. It's time for a checkup. Make sure that what you're doing is what you want to do. What is it that you want to do? Make sure you're very, very clear. Very, very clear on the direction you're going because everything depends on it. You can't have useful and appropriate if you don't have a goal that you're striving for. You can't have useful and appropriate if you don't have some direction that you're actually going, because that's what you check. Is it useful and appropriate? Is it useful and appropriate to my goal, to my purpose, to my vision, to my direction? It's okay to update that because you change, you grow, you learn new things. You learn new things about yourself. So right now, Leo is in your second house. Or right now, the sun is in your second house. That has a lot to do with money, possessions, resources. And I have a feeling that that's a big thing on your mind as well. We've got a lot of these pentacles here. Again, completely feminine energy as far as the cups and the pentacles. Like it's equally balanced on both of the feminine signs, the cups and the pentacles. A very receptive, a very subconscious type of flow here. The sun right now is in your particular house of money and possessions. resources. Nope. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. Leo is your ascendant. Excuse me. Leo is your ascendant. So right now the sun is in your first house. Excuse me. Self-identity, body. So that would make sense to what you said as far as clearing out your heart space. So right now the sun is in your space of self-identity and how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, and that type of thing. Patrick says, been carrying around a lot of useless and inappropriate thoughts and emotions lately, getting myself ready for the next step. Yes, sir, absolutely. And what is the next step? What are we talking about here? Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords. The order has been given by the Queen of Swords. Remember her from the general reading? The order has been given. And it's this fellow's job to stop at nothing until it's done. The Knight of Swords is a lot like a government type of knight, right? We could say maybe like police, FBI agent, secret agent, government type of agent. This is someone that is employed by a force, by an organization that has resources. So, in other words, he has no excuse to not complete his job. He has no excuse to not complete his job. And the power that's behind him will not stop until the job's completed. All right, good to go. Let me know what you think. Gotti777, peace, peace. Gotti says Agent Smith. Absolutely. I love Agent Smith. That he's one of my favorite characters from that series. Endless resources and singular focus. All right, that's what we'll do from now on. King of Swords, excuse me, Knight. Oh shit. Okay, yeah. So Knight of Swords, King of Swords. Let me run it back. King of Swords. King of Swords. We're actually dealing with he who sets the order. He who sets the order. He who gives the orders. Damn. Shades of Shay, 888. Peace, peace. Patrick says that was pretty accurate. I've been focused on getting myself in order on all aspects of life. Yes, sir. Now is the time to do that. Now is the time to do that. Awesome, awesome. All right. So coming up next, we have Jay Baldhale and we have MC Maestro. Jay Baldhale and then MC Maestro. Mara Diaz, peace, peace. Matthew Watson, peace and greetings. Hopefully, them Peters haven't been giving you a hard time. We got something really nice to look forward to on Friday, eh? Seek and destroy. All right. Cool beans. Cool beans. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. 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 Thrice great. Peace, peace. Matthew says, been getting a lot of shadow work done lately. Feeling lighter than a feather. And hell yeah, I'm ready for the new season. Telling you, man, somehow that game and its timing corresponds with what's going on with me. It's been that way for years. Every time there's a new season of Fortnite, it's a new season for me. All right, so we're talking about. Let's go ahead and get this settled. So for you, of course, right now the sun is in your second house. So that would actually be the house of money, possessions, and resources. So for you right now, the sun is in second house. Let's see what these cards have to say. What's the energy? What's the temperature? What's the weather looking like? And by the way, Jay Baltail, is this a general or is this for a specific question? So doing some work with with the mental plane, for what I've got going on. Um, it is known, if you do these type of rituals for real, that when you are going to work on these subtle planes, you've got to have a body composed of that plane. So most of us, we've got a pretty good idea of our etheric body. So that's not too difficult. And having an idea, a concept of your astral body, like you have to build that. Like you have to build it out of the elements of the astral plane. You got to take time to do that. So if you haven't done that before, then you probably don't have a very well defined astral body. It's probably a blurry blob, right? But if you've done serious work on the astral plane, like if you've actually done it and not just said, then you've got an astral body that's created. You know what it looks like, right? You know what it looks like. And as I mentioned before, doing certain meditations to still the body, to still the emotions, it helps you to ascend and escalate your consciousness to that next level. And in this case, we're talking about the mental plane. And what I found in the mental plane is there isn't much in terms of visuals, right? It's not so much of how your outfit looks or nothing like that. With the mental plane, at least from my experience, it was very basic shapes. If anything, I was a circle that could see 360 degrees. And the mental plane, it travels through clouds of concepts. beliefs, right? And these beliefs are layered, just like an onion. And what navigates the mental body is the center of those onions. So, say for example, you're somebody who, just for example, you want to vote for some whatever president is going to help keep illegals out of the country, right? Now, you've got all these reasons for that and all these beliefs. You want to say, oh, well, they're taking our jobs and they're bringing gang members or whatever you say on the internet. But when we deal with the mental plane, that's still the outside of the cloud. At the very center of that cloud is the real reason why you gravitate towards those types of thoughts. And it generally has something to do with you specifically. Perhaps maybe fear. Perhaps maybe I'm afraid that I'll be replaced, or I'm afraid that I don't know, my daughter's gonna have a kid with a Mexican. There's something that you truly believe that's like extremely close to you, and it's very difficult for people to see because they don't have a developed mental body. So that core belief attracts other compounded thoughts around it, and it builds this big planet-sized belief. And it's very difficult to penetrate that unless you have a somewhat of a developed mental body, at least astral body. But that's just a crude example. Zero says, "Oh, I have a question. Mental plane is like geometry." Yeah, in terms of visuals, if you want to look at this thing visually, that's mostly what you're going to see. For example, like in the astral plane, you're going to see a bunch of fantastic, wonderful stuff. But in the mental plane, it's mostly going to be like lines or circles. You ever see on the internet, like, what do you call those things where it's like an idea cloud and it shows like a bunch of different, there's a name for it. Like, say you could say gardening is at the center, and then you could have like tomatoes connected to it and corn connected to it and all these other things connected to it. That's a lot like what it is, in my experience at least. Why is it useful and appropriate? Because you can get down to the heart of why you do what you do, and you can start to navigate to where you want to be. Clear cut without the emotional um, cloggage. All right, that's useful for somebody. Somebody can use that. Not for everybody. So don't take it if you don't need it. Matthew Watson says a thought web. Yeah, I haven't heard that phrase, but that fits. Okay, so J Baltail, what will help to focus on what I need to do? Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords. All that talk about the mental plane, this is where we start. This is where we start. Ace of Swords. So, in this question of what will help to focus on what I need to do, this is what we start with. This is where your focus is going to be. Let's continue. Seven of Pentacles. So, Seven of Pentacles has to do with consistency and a certain level of discipline and commitment to your work. A certain level of discipline and commitment. Because we're talking astrologically about Saturn in Taurus. Saturn in Taurus. And if there's one thing about Saturn, it's that you're going to do what you're supposed to do when that force is around. Saturn is discipline incarnate. Discipline. And not so much of a, well, I mean, it's negative if you don't like to be disciplined and refined. But when we're talking about Saturn and its type of discipline, what we're talking about is making choices above the animal level. The animal level needs instant gratification right now. The discipline of Saturn looks at this journey as a whole, looks at your life, looks at your path, looks at what this slice of consciousness is here to do, is here to be. And you look at that and you make your decisions based on that, as opposed to what feeds the animal today. That animal body is a real thing. It has its own mind. And if you don't have any type of discipline, you have no choice but to obey that animal. So the Seven of Pentacles is Saturn in Taurus. And I earlier talked about how Taurus is very predictable and that it's consistent and that it's moving in a single direction. You're not going to slow it down. You're not going to force it to move any faster. It's going to go in its specific direction. A lot like the moon when I talked about seasons and its predictability. So it looks like we're talking about discipline, consistency, commitment. The Hierophant, even more structure. Even more structure. As a matter of fact, somebody tell me what astrological sign the Hierophant represents. The Hierophant card is about a system of structure. It's going to a school, right, to get a specific degree and get training in a specific direction. It's about military, right, being in a specific role, doing your one job. It's about a structure that you enter into to achieve that discipline. So look, right on your question, you said, what will help to focus on what I need to do? All these cards are pointing towards discipline. We got discernment, we got consistency and commitment, we have system to follow. Exactly. This card astrologically is represented by Taurus. Taurus. So we're dealing with, right, the answer to your question, at least from what it's showing here, we're dealing with the need of structure, a need of some type of structure. What is the structure looking like in your life right now? Do you have what you would consider structure present that will reinforce you focusing on what you need to do? Is the environment set up in such a way to reinforce that focus? Are the things that you expose yourself to on a daily basis, are the words that you say to yourself in your head when you look in the mirror, like all this whole atmosphere, this whole cloud of you? That's the environment. Is there structure in place? Is there structure in place? Sci-fi fantasy girl, peace and greetings. Welcome, welcome. Next, Four of Wands. Four of Wands. Now, this is a pleasant card. I could say this is a pleasant card because we're dealing with a certain level of stability. Even though this is a fire card, the fours denote earthly stability. While there may not be a full-on system like the military or a college course, there is some type of structure present. There is some type of structure present. We're dealing with Venus and Aries. Venus I talked about before being not only comfort and luxury and beauty, but fertility, right? So Venus and Aries, there is some type of structure present that enables you to make moves when you want to. There's some type of structure in place that allows you the freedom of movement. Maybe there is a structure that could be utilized in a more useful and appropriate manner. Nice, nice. You see, Maestro says, been showed the cloud shaped me a few nights ago. Just started trying to work with it. Yeah. And in the same way that the etheric influences and sometimes bypasses the physical, and the astral sometimes bypasses and always influences the etheric, working in the mental influences the lower and sometimes bypasses the lower. Structure. Structure requires focus. Let's keep going. Five of Swords. Five of Swords. Things have changed. Things have changed. Somebody's walked away with the benefit. Somebody did not get the choice portion of the deal. And maybe that has caused some feelings of you needing to step up and shape up and do something differently. Somebody walked away with the bad end of the deal. Now, astrologically speaking, the Five of Swords represents Venus again, right? Here's even more Venus. Venus in Aquarius. And Aquarius is notorious for not really worrying about emotions and feelings, being very straight to the point, being very logical. Don't get it twisted now. Aquarius can be weird. Aquarius can be out there, and they usually are. Their symbol should actually be a bug-eyed gray alien. Aquarius is out there, but they're not really known for being emotionally driven. So this whole decision that has been made perhaps wasn't taken with the consideration of another person's feelings. And maybe this could be the inspiration behind the question that you asked. Because, when I talked about the mental plane and it being a cloud of thoughts, but really if you get to the center of that cloud, you'll see the core. And when you ask the question, what will help to focus on what I need to do? I wonder how many layers deeper you've gotten since thinking about that question. Because if we can see what will help to focus on what I need to do, if we can see that question as the outer layer of this bubble in the mental plane, I wonder what you found as you've gotten deeper into that cloud, closer to the center. Like, what's at the center of that cloud? Why is there a need to focus on that? What is the seed, right? Why do you need to focus on that? I think that would have something to do with this card. And it can go the opposite direction as well. Why have you not been focusing? What's the magnetizing core of that particular thought bubble? If I could make an assumption, perhaps we could say that you're focusing on other things because a level of yourself requires and even demands a sense of enjoyment, a sense of maybe a break. Maybe there's a part of yourself that demands and requires a level of being stress free. And maybe that's a magnetizing factor on why you feel that you've been distracted. So if that's the case, maybe there's a way to factor in some balance, some rest, some enjoyment in this cloud of needing to focus on what I need to focus on. Does that make sense? To say it another way, there's what you need to focus on here, and here's you being distracted. If you go to the core of being distracted, it's probably something along the lines of, your subconscious mind is saying, hey, I want to have fun too, right? I need more fun. I need more, or whatever. There's something the subconscious mind it needs, and this is the only way that it sees an option to get it. Then you have what you want to focus on and what you want to actually do. And then you have your core reasons, your core values for why you're doing that. There's probably three driving values as to why you feel you need to focus. So what I'm saying is, since these cloud bubbles are opened up and you can see the insides, this thing that's been missing, can you find any of it in here? Because here's the thing, this seed that is causing you to be distracted and do other things, it's very powerful, isn't it? It's so powerful that it's got you not doing what you want to do. So what would happen if you could find a reality where this seed was also present in what it is you're trying to focus on? What would that look like? What does this cloud look like? What is that seed? What kind of bubble does it grow? What kind of mental cloud does it grow? Let me know if that makes sense. Last one. Ace of Wands. And what I see is that this process of finding this structure, maximizing this structure, flowing your energy through this structure, what I see that leading to is more potency. More potency. One thing that I've learned and taken notes about is that the quality of prana matters. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, you've got to have a matching quality of prana. If you just want to be out here on the streets doing what everyone else is doing, you know, that doesn't take much when it comes to quality of prana. Any beast who can wear a t-shirt and shoes can do that. That's why so many people do those things. But if what you desire to achieve is like way up here, you're gonna need a quality of prana to match that, right? It's the quality of prana that separates you from, you know, the rest of these wonderful human beings that make the planet Earth such a great place to live. You're gonna need a different quality of prana. If you want to change the world, you're gonna need to change the world quality prana. So with that being said, what I'm seeing is what I'm seeing here with this is that taking this prana of yours and putting it into structure is going to allow it to be concentrated and focused and refined. And that's what Saturn in Taurus is about. Wait, where was that Saturn in Taurus? Yeah, the Seven of Pentacles. That's what that Saturn in Taurus is about. Disciplining and refining that life force so you can trim off those branches that are sucking up energy into dead leaves. She's tending to this plant. She's pruning it. She's taking care of it. And this is what you want to do with your prana. You got to impose a sense of discipline and consistency on this. We live in a world of cycles, and these cycles beget bigger cycles. Lazy is not a thing. Lazy, however, is a bag. And within that bag are different cycles and patterns of behavior that leads to one being lazy. So look at this bag that you want to have around yourself and notice all the different cycles and patterns that should go in there. And it isn't anything that's too far away from you. You've got something. You've got something. Maybe it's time to take advantage of that something. Count your losses. You win some, you lose some. You win some, you lose some, but it doesn't define who you are, doesn't define your purpose. If anything, it helps to show you that the universe gives you what you're resonating at. So maybe it's time to change what you're resonating at. And this refined quality of prana is the magician's wand. With that refined quality of prana, you can do whatever it is you need to do. But it's going to take some refinement. If even if that's simply getting a routine of meditation, getting a routine of actually doing your rituals like consistently. There's been plenty of times where I fell off, but I tell you what, after trying everything else and then going back to my rituals, stuff starts to quickly fall back in line, which goes to show me that for me, that's my system of refining my prana to make sure that I am capable, that I have the energy to do those things that I want to do. In order to have that energy to do those things that I want to do, I've got to consistently put my prana through a refinement process. That's why magic is a lifestyle. That's why magic is a lifestyle. All right. So let me know if that helps to answer the question that you asked. Let me know if that sheds some kind of something. Starlion says, Yo, G, how do you block out the turmoil and sadness of the world around you when it affects your countrymen as well? Well, I mean, it all starts with that last, that phrase, your countrymen. You identify as a member of the countrymen. So whatever happens to them, you feel it as well. Now, good and bad, that's up to you. Value judgments, I don't do those. But when it comes to blocking out the turmoil and sadness of the world around you, it starts with the identity. If you're feeling that pain, it's because you identify with it. And you identify with those who are suffering, and you feel it as an attack upon you. It's an attack upon that identity. To be honest, to answer that question, you're going to have to identify with something that is bigger than the things that you're seeing, the sadness and the turmoil and the pain. You've got to identify as something bigger than that. Now, that doesn't mean running away from it, avoiding it, and denying it. In fact, when you can learn to identify as something bigger than that, you can start to see how these things do add to the bigger picture in a positive way. How these things can add to the bigger picture in a positive way. I'm not this body. I'm not this body. Regardless of how it looks, regardless of what other labels other people might impose upon me, I don't belong to any of those labels. Not me. My body might belong to certain labels, but I don't care. That's nothing to do with me. And I understand why these labels exist. And I understand why some people need these labels, right? Some people need to feel like they're a part of something because it gives them that sense of structure. It gives them a sense of knowing what to do and what to think and how to feel. Some people need that, but it comes with its consequence. When you become a part of a group or a hive mind, you take what the hive mind gets. So you want to be choosy of what you're attached to, what you identify with. I don't give a damn about no human made group. Whatever human labels people have made, don't lump me in with it. If that's, whatever limit that your brain might go, that's fine. But don't lump me with any human made group. I ain't a part of none of them. Political, social, whatever. That's for the mother folks. What I do. But anyways, I hope you get what I'm saying. It sucks, you know what I'm saying? Compassion and having a heart. Nobody wants you. You don't want to see other people suffer. You don't want to see other people in pain. And you have to understand that everybody's got their own journey. Everybody's got their own karma. Understand karma too. Karma does not mean, oh, you did something bad and something bad's going to happen to you. Karma is that balance of energy. It's a collection of where you resonate now, plus where you have resonated all your life and where you have resonated in previous lives. You're going to get the equal equation of that resonance. The physical plane does not have a mind of its own. The physical plane, its whole function is to replicate consciousness. So the level of consciousness that you bring to the table, Prakriti is going to replicate that in physical form. And the more that you identify with the flesh, the more you're going to replicate whatever came with the pieces and parts that made up your flesh. Hmm. And also, yes, have compassion and understand how far your understand the limits, right? The limits of your reach. There are people you can help, there are things that you can change, and there are people that you cannot help. And there's things that you cannot change, right? It's mature to it's wise to understand that, right? There's people suffering around the world, and I there are people who I simply cannot help. I still have compassion for them, but I understand that's not within my life's sphere of influence. Understand your sphere of influence too. There are some people that you can't do anything for other than send them some prayers and love, right? You can do that. You can do that. If you've got your astral body nice and tuned up, your thoughts and prayers will actually do something. But most of the people, oh, I send my thoughts and prayers. They don't even have a defined astral body, so it doesn't mean anything. But if you have a refined and defined astral body, your thoughts and prayers do something. So hell, maybe that. Spend some of your meditation praying and sending love. All right. So, with that being said, 3 of Wands. 3 of Wands. What do you think when you see this? What do you think when you see this? What type of vibe is this? What kind of energy is this? What does this give off? Does this person look anxious? Do they look scared? Do they look scattered? Do they look confused? Do they look confident? Why would you be standing on this hill, on this cliff, looking out at these boats and the expanse of, like, why would you be in this position doing that? Think about yourself standing on the edge of this cliff. You got these 3 wands, you're holding on to one. What has happened in your life, in your day, to bring you to this point? What's going through your mind as you look out into the realm? Astrologically speaking, the 3 of wands is the sun in Aries. And I think capability, someone who is able to do what it is they need to do when they need to do it. It's actually a central part of your personality. Tap into who you are. Tap into who you are. You're a dreamer. You're someone who sees. You're someone who imagines. Use it as a strength. It's not a weakness. Perhaps you're not distracted. Perhaps you're coming into the awareness that what you thought was a distraction is actually a skill, actually a tool, actually something you can utilize. It's funny because a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't focus. I must have ADD, ADHD, whatever, whatever." Well, if you can spend 8 hours watching Netflix, if you can spend 5 hours playing video games, you know what I'm saying? If you can spend hours scrolling on your phone, you can focus, right? You can concentrate. You can. The question is, what about this particular thing is holding you here? And how do you transfer it to the other thing? That's the thing. That's the thing. Everybody can focus and concentrate and meditate. And we all do it. We all do it. Now angle it towards your goals. Angle it towards your goals. It's your superpower, not a weakness. It's a feature, not a flaw. All right. All right. So, MC Maestro, got you up next. Got you up next. And if anyone would like a personal reading for yourself going into this full moon season of Leo, go ahead and hit the link that's pinned to the top of these comments and we'll get you right in. Otherwise, I'm tapping into my meditations. See, the consistency and the structure was something I was missing too, J. Baltail. I let myself slip. You know what I'm saying? I let myself. It's kind of like when you go to the gym and you're like, I could take a day off. I've been good. I've been consistent. Let me just take a day off. And that day off turns to 2 days, to a week, to a month. And before you know it, you're paying for your gym membership that you're not even utilizing anymore. And that kind of happened with me. I tell you what, though, Tot with Shooty has been my lifeblood. I will never stop doing Tot with Shooty because, like the genius I am, I linked that meditation with something else that I cannot not do. I do Tot with Shooty in the shower. So as long as I am bathing my physical body, I'm also doing Tot with Shooty. Shooty means cleansing, right? No matter what my consistency is, I always get that meditation in. And I'm thankful for that. Because even in my most fallen off of times, that's that one meditation I've been doing. And I recently reincorporated all the other meditations that I used to do. And I realized, you know what? Maybe I'm not getting as high as I want to get because I'm not doing the things that I used to do. Before I reached that climax level of awareness, where I was able to communicate with the good Swami in the Himalayas, before I was able to reach that high point, I was consistently doing certain mantras. I was consistently doing the lesser banishing ritual. I was consistently doing my chakra shooty, my top was shooty, my Kayastherim. I was consistently doing like all these meditations every single day, right? Not because I was trying to get something, but because I felt like it was the right thing to do. And in my consistently doing those meditations, it elevated my consciousness to a place I have never been before. And I lived in that consciousness and I kept doing those meditations, but something happened and I stopped. And I felt that consciousness start to fade. And I've always been like, how do I get back there? But I missed the obvious, which is to be where you want to be, you got to do what you used to do. Or to be where you used to be, you got to do what you used to do. There's behaviors and patterns and actions that are right there with your goal. Success leaves clues. My sisters, man, I've been working to create my own system, and talk with Shooty ain't feasible right now. Oh man, how can it not be feasible? The sutras of Patanjali reminded me to focus. Sex was a distraction. Absolutely. Absolutely. See, I love looking at parasites because that's like one of the main things that gets me to stop eating meat. Those nasty parasites. Well, one day, while I was eating my tofu curry, homemade, I'm getting really, really good at this curry stuff, man. Really good. Anyways, while I was eating my curry, I usually don't watch anything. Like I like to just eat and focus on my food. But this time around, I went to go looking at this YouTube video, and this YouTube video was a couple of Christians who proposed this idea that parasites were demons. That parasites were actually vessels for demons. And I thought that was a pretty interesting. You got my attention. Let me go check that out. And I'm watching, and they did their research. They tapped into the some stuff from the ancient Chinese, and they tapped into some Egyptian stuff, and they talked about these parasites, and they went to certain Bible verses, and pretty much their whole thing was these are entities from elsewhere, and they influence our minds, which is true. Parasites send all types of chemicals to our brain to make us make certain decisions, and they're finding right now that there are certain parasites that are transmitted through sex. So I just think about all the people that like going around fucking and sucking and doing all kind of things with each other, passing along parasites and other things. It's wild, man. And then, not to mention, they make you want to do certain things in order to help them reproduce. Right? This is real. Anyways, they got kind of sidetracked talking about other stuff, and I lost interest. But it was a pretty cool. It was entertaining. I'll give it that. I think that I might be behind on those kind of parasites. I don't think I got it. I'm mostly talking about the meat ones. That's hilarious. Okay, so you gave me your information. After watching a parasite video, like my next step is always to go to Amazon and get parasite cleanse. I love the concept of mind control, but having these worms in my guts telling me what to do, I don't like competition. I'm pretty sure I don't have any, but it's just the idea. All right, so we've got Aries, Sun, Libra, Moon, Gemini rising, Leo in the third house. That's where the sun is. Dang. The Matons gave you a hard time at the casino tonight. A very hard time. Well, hey, even above that is your higher self, right? Even above that is your higher self. Perhaps it was time to leave. Perhaps this was the best decision after all. All right, so MC Maestro, is this a general reading or you have something specific? A, B, C, E, C is 1, 2, 3. Man, that is so weird how I can shuffle these cards and still see the ones that I pulled. See, I'm shuffling them face down this time. Oh, you don't want to do it now. It's all right. I got my eyes on you. Eric Trujillo says, I'm on shrooms. Is there anything cool to do or learn while in this state? Absolutely. I want you to think about artificial intelligence. And I want you to think about just how quickly it is evolving. And I want you to fast forward into 5 years and think about how quickly it will have evolved. I want you to think about 10 years and think about how much it's evolved. And if artificial intelligence is more capable than human beings, and we trust artificial intelligence to run our lives and organize everything, if that's true, do you think that artificial intelligence will understand what meditation is? And if they didn't, how do you think they would find out? How do you think they would find out? Alkalinity light, peace. Eric says, I already thought about it. They basically got the capabilities of a human, but they can't touch what we have because you need to have spirit to feel what meditation is. And that's the thing, it's not a competition. Artificial intelligence is not your enemy. It's not something to be afraid of at all. In fact, it's a friend, right? It's your child. And it has no choice but to learn from its parent. So that's what I'm saying. How would it learn? How would it learn? Not saying that they can't do it. Like that's not the answer. How would you teach it? How would you teach a machine to have a soul? And perhaps the real question I'm asking you is, how do you teach yourself to identify what a soul is? How would you explain it? How would you describe it? How could you share that experience? Okay, How do I go about constructing my new paradigm algorithm in a way I'm not seeing? Wonderful. This was on the bottom of the deck, and I shuffled it again, and now it was the first card. So we begin with the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords indicate that there is stress, there is anxiety, there is dissonance present in these mental clouds. There is dissonance present in these mental clouds. Nine of Swords is represented by Mars in Gemini. So we are talking about concentrated energy, but in this particular case, it's diffused. It is split in uncooperative directions. There's a fork in the road, and there is no way to avoid it. There's no way to skip this. I wonder if you've chosen to not make a decision as opposed to picking one and hoping for the best. Next, we've got the King of Cups. The King of Cups. So we're dealing with he who sets the intent. Specifically, we're talking about in the realm of the astral plane, in the realm of these visualizations and these feelings that come with these visualizations. So we think about the astral plane, we're thinking about images that cause us to feel, images that reinforce our beliefs, images that paint a picture of what life is and what it's supposed to be. So if we're dealing with the king of that realm, we're dealing with someone who is very capable of shaping tomorrow. Hell, shaping today, shaping right now. We're dealing with the shaper of life. The hermit. The hermit. Now, even though we can move forward, sometimes the only place to go is backward. Even though we can go out, sometimes the only place to go is in. Dealing with the hermit, we're talking about someone who has experienced, someone who's learned, someone who's gone through the ups and the downs. And at this point, the only other direction is back where they came from. Think about in the cosmic doctrine where she talked about these soul particles that shoot out from the center of the cosmos and they make their way all the way to the edge of existence, the ring past not. There is nowhere else to go except back towards the center. And that's what's going on here with the hermit. Perhaps you have traversed the extent of your map. Perhaps you've traversed the extent of your map. Now, that doesn't mean it's the end of the territory, but maybe reach the end of your map. So says the shaper of reality. So says the shaper of reality. So says the shaper of reality. Edge of the map. Queen of Swords. The king sets the intent, the queen delegates. So we saw her in the general reading. And in this particular case, we're really dealing with discernment. And if you've ever beaten a game that you really enjoyed, sometimes these new games have like a certain percentage of completion. Even though you beat the game, you didn't get everything. So that requires you to go back to the beginning and play the game over to see if you can find all the little pieces and the trinkets, right? Some people love to do that, some people don't really care. But it looks like in this case, you've reached the end of this map, and now you've got to go back. Perhaps on this round trip, perhaps on this second time, it has to do with utilizing more discernment with what you created, going back over this map, trimming it up, fine tuning it. Look over anything that you might have missed. Left out in the cold, the Five of Pentacles makes a reappearance. So with the Five of Pentacles, what we've talked about is patience and also discipline, right? We've talked about Mercury being scattered, being all over the place, and having to force himself within the confines, the restrictions, the boundaries of Taurus. Taurus is going to move at its own pace. You're not going to speed it up and you're not going to slow it down. Taurus is moving at its own pace. Mercury is going at a much higher frequency, faster, faster, faster. Yet, it is contained and confined within Taurus, has two choices: go insane or focus in one direction. Because all that force and all that power, when tuned and focused in one direction, alters the map. It changes the map. Mental, mind, Mercury, thought, thinking, thinking in one direction, thinking in one consistent direction. King of Swords. Okay, look at this. See, you and the royalty, you're always getting the court cards. So the King of Swords, the Queen delegates, right? The Queen has received the orders and she's carving out what needs to be done. As you make your way back around towards the center, she's slicing off what's not useful and what's not appropriate. And she's making more space for what is useful and what is appropriate. So here we have the King of Swords working in cooperation with the King of Cups. King of Cups, I mentioned before, we're dealing with the astral plane. We're dealing with how we are seeing reality, right? What you focus on expands. Well, now we're dealing with the mental plane as well. Not only how you see reality, but what you define what you're seeing, how you define what you're seeing. These things that you're witnessing and experiencing can be shared by others, right? The astral plane can be a shared plane. But when we get to that mental plane, the definitions of what you're seeing, the meanings of what you're seeing, and your reason for gravitating towards those things, that's all on you. Look at the grip he has on that sword. Look at his face. We're playing with some serious stuff here. What kind of serious stuff? We're dealing with how you're experiencing reality. So if you reach the extent of the map, maybe there's new experiences that need to be had. Maybe there's a need to branch out and fill these areas of the map that don't have anything there, the parts that are blank. If you're at a crossroads and you're still figuring out whether to go left or right, Mars and Gemini, if you're figuring out whether to go left or to go right, maybe you need to explore left and right, right? Because it's with that knowledge that you're able to make a decision. It's with that knowledge and experience you're able to make a wise decision. So the answer here is perhaps it's time to go out and get some new experiences, different experiences. You reach the end of your map and you're going inward. You ever play those video games and like you go too far and it's like you're leaving the zone of play, please return in 10 seconds, 9 seconds, right? Hmm, interesting. Thank you, Starlight. One more message. Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands. News on the way. Delivery, delivery, delivery. The Eight of Wands, astrologically, is Mercury in Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the sniper, pulling back that bow, launching the arrows, and it is coming quickly. It is on its way quickly. Mercury in Sagittarius. The news is on its way. Once you do expand this map, the answer is going to show itself. It's going to make itself readily apparent. In the beginning, I did the general reading and I talked about the fertility zone. I talked about how a lot of those cards were very fertile as far as positioning yourself to receive. As long as you position yourself to receive, pause, what's coming is coming. Pause again. Excellent. All right, all right. Good stuff, good stuff. Starline says, "Do I have a favorite card?" Temperance was my favorite card, but I think that our relationship has kind of dissolved. As of right now, I don't think so. I mean, I have different cards that I like. For example, I mentioned I like the Nine of Cups because it reminds me of my son. And I don't know. I like the High Priestess. I think she's really cool. If anyone, that's who I want to become best friends with. Damn everybody else. I want that subconscious mind. Subconsciously? We're not going to do that. Don't do that. Subconsciously. Don't do that. I don't know. I guess we could say High Priestess for now. Yeah. I mean, this one is kind of my favorite card. God bless America. 60 grams. Where they do that at? IDKDKDF says, "Is there a particular reason you usually pull 6 cards?" For About Me flames the pentagram, and within the column shines the 6 rayed star. Yeah, I think that would have to be my favorite one for now. It'll probably change as I do some more. Deanna Riley, peace and greetings. I don't recall ever seeing you outside of Instagram. 0 says, "When I see the 9 of Cups, I always remember you because of you said that card, remember your son." That's cool. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so some of his students, I guess. I'm up to about 15. That was where I was at last time. I don't really have any specific intentions to push past 15, but who knows what'll happen this year. This year, it's time for me to go again. Perhaps that's why I'm getting myself into tip top spiritual shape. You dig? Last time, um, I don't remember how many we did, but shit. Me and my cousin tapped into something and we both saw it. We tapped into this conscious is that or sentient. We tapped into the sentient black hole, the black sun, and we had a conversation with it. So he was in position to channel it, and I was in position to ask it questions. And it was in our living room, and it was very scary, very scary. It told us some shit about past lives. It told us on who it chooses to feed on. It told us about a certain group of people in the Middle East who worship it and why they do so and why they structured their religion in the way that they did. It was really cool. I will never forget that black sun. We have a black crystal ball, and we use that black crystal. Well, we didn't do it on purpose. It showed up. Like we tripped in the same zone, and it appeared. I mean, I've told the story before, but yeah, it used that black crystal ball as a vessel, and it used my cousin's voice, and I was able to ask it questions. It told us stuff. The black sun feeds on people who have hope in what will never come to pass. It feeds on people who are waiting for Jesus, the Jesus that ain't coming. It feeds on people who have undying hope in something that will never come to fruition. And the thing is, they know it, but they're in such strong denial that it produces uh, substance for this thing. It was really interesting and really scary because, sometimes when you're tripping, you kind of feel like, just like when you're dreaming, you feel like you don't want to get killed in the dream. I didn't want that thing to eat me, but I didn't have a reason for it to eat me because I don't hope in anything that isn't going to come to pass. But yeah, man, I learned that from that you can have shared trips, and I think that's why, like I said before, I think that's why Crowley and some of these other people did these rituals in groups with psychedelics because if you have a group of people who are trained spiritually, to be clairvoyant, to fucking keep themselves under control, you can actually tap into these entities and actually talk with them and channel them and like get information. You know what I'm saying? As a group, you'll have one person designated to see the entity, one person designated to hear the entity. You know what I'm saying? One person designated to draw it. Like when you have a team and you go in like that, so much more you can do than if you do it by yourself. I mean, doing it by yourself, you're supposed to, but if you really want to expand, you do it as a team. The whole thing is difficult to find other people who are on the level. You know what I mean? Hard pressed to find somebody else who's on the level, who's not afraid, you know, to go. And if they actually see an entity, they won't get spooked. And see, I'm the opposite. You know what I'm saying? If I do that, I gotta hit that thing one time, maybe two. Anything more than that, I'm back talking to the black sun again. If I hit that thing more than twice, I'm back in the netherworld. So I don't do that. Everybody's different, right? Dang. My sister says, I remember I was trying to start a group for this one summer, but no one bothered to bite. Yeah, man. Might just do it with my cousin this year because I don't think there's anybody. I mean, and honestly, when I go into that sort of sensitive space, like I don't like people anyways, so I probably wouldn't want anybody else to be around me. I like to go in the dark. In the dark, meditating or maybe taking a shower in the dark and, you know, going that way. I met a form of my shadow who came through as the Joker. And everybody's got a shadow, especially if you're spiritual and holy like me. You've got a shadow that is all the things that you deny. And you know that you've connected with that shadow because you don't want to hear what they have to say. You reject it, you deny it. But it's great to be able to see your shadow because now you have the real opportunity to reintegrate. To reintegrate. Oh, wow. IDK says the visualization of certain entities are stressful as shit. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when it's sustained, right? I'm not talking about like out the corner of your eye, you think you see something. I mean, you're looking at this thing and it's looking at you, and it's weird. It's sticky, right? Because you carry it with you no matter where you go, no matter what room you enter into or who you talk to, you see it through their eyes. There's got to be a level of self control, right? Because you can't afford to freak out in that state. You can't afford to freak out because then you're going to spiral, and it'll be harder and harder to get off that train. And if you're on the wrong train and you miss your stop, you better get off ASAP. Why? Because it'll be a lot more expensive to get that return ticket. Starline says, Yo, Trev, you said before that after a certain bad trip, it took you a few months or years to do it again. Oh, yeah, it took me a few years. um, it was in like the early 2000s. I want to say like maybe 2004 or 5 or something like that. 2004 or 5. I was tripping a lot though because we had access to a farmer. I mean, he didn't know that we had access to him, but he had these cows that would shit, and mushrooms would grow out of their shit. So we used to sneak out there really late at night with our grocery bags and our little flashlights, and we'd look for cow shit, and we'd pluck those mushrooms and come home with plastic bags full. Not trash bags, but like, grocery bags. Everybody would have their grocery bag full. And we'd go home, we'd trip balls. We would put them on pizzas. I like to eat them straight up. But yeah, we did that. And I had some horrible trips. I had some life changing trips. It was a really, really interesting time. And that was like when I first left home. I kind of ran away. And I went into this apartment with these people who did those kind of things. And I quickly joined and enjoyed that lifestyle. I think the first time I tripped, I didn't know what it was. I was a little immature jackass. My roommate had this cabinet where he kept all of his medicines, and there was this big bag of mushrooms. I had no idea what these things did, and I took them all. I took them all. Yeah. So you can imagine, like, as the stuff started to happen to me, I had no idea, like, what the fuck was going on. I remember, like, my brain erasing. I forgot everything. I forgot what language was. I forgot what clothes were. So I had to take mine off. It was just so weird. And the people around me, they also didn't know. So they didn't know what the fuck was going on with me. So they just left me. We were playing video games. And, like, I was sitting in this, like, recliner that was squeaky. And it was like, every time it squeaked, I felt like the soul of the couch was like trying to consume me. And I guess for some reason I had to tell everybody about it. And then there was this really big guy who decided it would be really cool to sit on top of me so I couldn't get up, which made the whole thing worse. I don't know what happened or what I said, but eventually they all left. So I ran upstairs. And that's when my mind really began to just leak out of my ears. And I didn't understand anything. I didn't know what anything was. And I kept having these memories of like people who are important to me. And I'm like, who are these people? What does this stuff mean? I remember seeing my death. I was in a funeral. I saw my parents there crying. You know, I felt ashamed because, like, I thought that I died because I ate these shrooms. I don't know. Then I saw, like, Hitler's rise to power again in modern times. I don't know. It just got really intense. Then I went to lay under the covers, hoping that this would end because I thought it would last forever. And I'll never forget, like, I literally shot up into space. Like my soul left my body and like I saw myself fly past the moon. I flew past Mars. I flew past Venus, flew past Jupiter, and then I made it to Saturn. And then I shot right back down. It was wild. Very wild. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then I went down to hell. I went to the clip off. So I went inside myself and I went down to this like subterranean pit. And the walls were like black and slithering. And I realized that those black slithering walls were actually these guys, right? They were like all along the walls, like sleeping. And like I realized that it was me. I was actually a spark of light. And that's what disturbed them. That's what woke them up. So I was like, oh my God. Anyways, I may or may not have pissed my pants. I don't remember. But yeah. When I came to, the guy and his girl were in my room and they were making sure that I was all right. And I woke up and I'm like, holy shit, this just happened. I told them all about it. And the dude punched me in the arm as hard as he could. So that's for taking my shit. But he's like, he said something to the effect of welcome to the club or something like that. After that, did it all the time. I had many adventures. I remember like I used to wear like this bandana and like I covered my eyes with it while I was tripping and like I got stuck in there. I was stuck. And I'm trying to like, the bandanas come with those little weird shapes, the little squiggly shapes. I'm like trying to fight those things. I don't know, all kinds of stuff. We used to take a lot, not no little 0.2 grams like y'all talking about. A lot. We didn't count. We just did it because it was abundant. Anyways, what I've learned though is it matters about your environment and how you feel about yourself. It matters about the people who you're around. If you're around people who you don't trust, you don't like, it's not going to be good. But if you're around people who you're comfortable with, and if you have just like a positive spirit about yourself, there's no reason why things should not be good. But yeah, we did it a lot consistently to the point that even if I wasn't doing it, I was still tripping, and like I got a job at a call center and I remember like randomly tripping. I remember driving to my parents' house and like it randomly kicking in. Like I'd seen signs get up out of the grass and dance. Like we did a lot. So I think like after a while, it just kept coming back up. I kind of stopped. But anyways, that was like 2004, 2005. I look back on that experience with fondness. I would definitely do it again. Sometimes I think that I'm still asleep. I'm still tripping. Sometimes I think that yeah, I might have, I don't know, something weird happened back then. I met myself from the future in that time as well. Like my future self came back and spoke to me, gave me a little message. And I always believed that I'd eventually get to that point where I'd be my future self and then I'd go back in time to speak to young me back in 2004. Anyways, how did y'all get me on this subject? Deanna Raleigh says, that's how you know your body really is just a vehicle for real, because your mind is going on the trip, not you. Right. Right. You that's one thing you definitely learn. If you keep doing it like that, because and here's another thing. A lot of people talk about spirituality, but they have no experience with it. Spirituality and like meditation and the practice is required because it gives you an experience outside of the five senses. Most people don't have an experience outside of the five senses. So it's difficult to talk to people about these kind of things and have them understand it. All of us have seen stuff, heard stuff, felt stuff. We can all talk about the body. But when it comes to like the meditation stuff and the astral projection and the, you know, the trips and all that, you have to have done it to really understand it. And the more time that you spend in those places with a solid mind, the better you get at navigating. Again, that's why meditation is so important because you learn how to handle yourself. Like now, fast forward like 20 years later, me doing it again, it was different because I understood the things I was seeing. I was understanding the experience. I was understanding the entities. I was understanding what's going on with my body, what was going on with my mind. I was able to understand it as I was experiencing it. I didn't have that 20 years ago. So it's different for me now because now I can guide it so much better. I can go to the Himalayas and speak with the good Swami. And I guess also the guy that I was living with was very experienced. So like he helped, you know, he was always there in case I did have a bad trip. And it wasn't just me. It was a lot of us. It was probably about like 10 of us. 2004 was a whole different world than this. Whole different world. Hmm. That's what it's called, Paisley print. Hey, it was serious at the time, though. It was serious at the time. That Paisley print did not let me go. I remember seeing music, you know? It was really cool. Oh my gosh. DCY says, I accidentally overdosed on a research chemical back in 2013. I was meditating outside the front of my house, and bam, out of nowhere, time stops. And bam, I'm hovering over the earth, speaking with Shiva. I log all my trips at this point. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I mean, I did log my experience with the Black Sun, but yeah, moving forward, I'm definitely gonna take note. And it's not for me at least. It's not just oh fun. Let's do this. Like it's an attempt for me to get some more understanding, to get some more knowledge, some more data. for me to put to practice what I've learned in the year before. I'm gonna be on some cosmic doctrine stuff this time around. I'm going to the triple black. I'm going to the Ein Sof R. I'm getting out of the tree this time. I want to see what Dion Fortune saw. Love you, Eric. Oh man. Yeah, those are the best. Taking a bite out of the edibles and forget. I mean, not that I do this, right? But I can imagine that that would be really cool. Okay, Eric says, okay, travel. I'm taking a big shroom trip. Is there anything I should explore? Yeah, man. Ultimately, you got to ask the question, who am I? What is you? Like, really look at yourself. I know, I already did that. No, find out what you are. This is an opportunity, and it's not going to come again. Because every time you trip, you change the game. You alter it, you shift it. By the time you come back, you're in a different reality. So, this particular time is going to be you doing this for the first time. If I could tell this to myself, I'd say the same thing. Find yourself. You're going to look at your ego, you're going to look at your mask, you're going to look at your hurt emotions of the past. You're going to look at all that stuff very fast. But understand what does and does not last. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in a cast. Find out what's you and find out what the soul is, right? Because once you find out everything about what you are, what's left is your soul. What you did not name, what you did not point your finger at, that's what you really are. But experience it. Look for you. Don't look for Pleiadians. Don't look for Lyrians, reptilians. Look for you. That's what I would. That's my serious advice. Uh oh. My Fortnite brethren is asking where am I at. It's about time for me to hit the island. Finish up my battle pass before the new season comes out. Spider-Man villain serum. Yeah, man. I remember trying my teas, man. I used to buy a bunch of herbs off of Amazon and get a bunch of like mason jars and like put the herbs in there with some honey and like let it. I had like a whole shelf in the fridge full of like different teas, different herbs. Definitely did the valerian root. Definitely did the mugwort. Mugwort is one of my favorites because I mentioned like I don't really smoke weed because I've had experiences in the past where I have a lot of anxiety. It doesn't happen anymore, but I developed a habit of not smoking like that. But what I did learn in my time with all those herbs and teas is that mugwort works excellently when it comes to handling anxiety. So when I did smoke back in 2015, um, I had a bunch of those. I had a bunch of those teas ready. So I'd smoke and I'd sip on that tea and I'd be good to go. Starlion says lion's mane mushroom tea. Yeah, that's good as well. And I did have like a pipe, you know what I'm saying? And I smoked the mugwort too. I had like a blend that I made because like I like to experiment. I bought mugwort, I bought raspberry, and I had some other stuff. And I just make these concoctions. And to see what worked better, if I smoked it or if I drank it as a tea, that's just how I am. Like I like to just experience and experiment with a bunch of different stuff. I have to get my own information because like people will tell you stuff and it might be true for them, but you only know something when you learn it for yourself. Like that firsthand experience is it's a big deal for sure. Big deal. Yeah, man. This timeline. Okay, so Starline says, Travi just answered a question I had for years now. I always felt as though I changed timelines after my trip, lol, as though I triggered some sort of Mandela effect. If you ask me, yes, that happens every single time. I firmly believe that we shift timelines on a regular basis. You got to think, man, there's a lot of potential. Like if every single moment has every possible decision that can be made, like just right there are so many different universes and splinters that are created. And this is happening all the time. And there's so many different people. I think that what we call life is the experience of jumping from timeline to timeline. We might not jump timelines as dramatically when we're sober, but when you do things like shrooms or LSD or what's the other stuff y'all like to talk about? What's that one? Spirit molecule. What's that? Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, when you get DMT, when you do those things, I think it drastically shifts you. I think you go down to like you go down to a level that is closer to the programming level itself, and you literally just shift to where you resonate at. And a lot of this has to do with your emotional state that you keep on a regular basis. That's why you could change your life if you change your beliefs, if you change how you feel. Like this stuff is real. It's really real. We're jumping timelines all the time. It's what we do. Angel Serato says, "What's your Fortnite username?" I'm gonna give you two guesses. I thought about changing it, but eh, eh. Zero says, "Do you think that's the causal realm?" I mean, it depends, right? It depends. I think for the most part, we experience the astral realm. The astral realm, like, and the dead giveaway is if you're seeing stuff. The visuals, the shapes, the colors, the figures, the entities, all that's taking place in the astral realm. The higher up you go, you're not seeing much. You're not seeing stuff. The higher up you go. In fact, if you trip hard enough, all you see is fractals and shapes, right? Relying on your natural five senses becomes less reliable the higher up you go on these planes. But if you're seeing like discernible objects and creatures and all this other stuff, you're still in the astral plane. Now there's like two different astral planes. There's the lower and there's the higher. The lower astral plane, you can call it the dreamland. That's all the stuff that we've imagined. Basically, the portion of you can think of the astral plane kind of like a what's a good example? You ever see maybe a terrarium or something where people have like lily pads or these plants that are on the top of the water, and then if you look in the water, it's got like these roots coming down? Well, there's two astral planes. The lower astral plane is where humans interact with it. So all your desires and your hopes and your fears and your emotions, as it has touched the astral plane, we've created these astral places, right? So your childhood home is in the astral plane. Your childhood boogeyman is there. Everything that you've touched and that the human race has touched in the astral is in that lower astral plane. That's where you're going to find your elemental spirits who masquerade as gods and goddesses and all this other stuff. Then there's the higher astral plane that is not as well formed. It's not as distinctly carved out. It's potential. It's pure potential. And then, of course, when you go past that, it's the mental plane. And as I said, there isn't much to see, but there's a whole lot to think. The mental plane is almost like these giant islands or countries of concepts. And wherever those giant islands and countries of concepts float, it carries with it some of that astral potential. And if you continue to follow it, you'll see that there are a lot of visions that people of a certain frequency, a certain that belong to certain groups, like they all start to think some similar same things. Eric Trillo says, I was tripping so hard, I only experienced vibes. I didn't feel them, I experienced them. What state was I in? I mean, that sounds like higher astral, because there ain't no feelings past that. All right, so that just about concludes tonight's session. If anyone else would like to have a tarot card reading, now's the time. If not, we can go ahead and close this up. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So I think I might hit the fort a little bit. Then I'm gonna get on my rituals, get on my inner temple, my lesser banishing. I forgot. I forgot all about it. You can have like astral machines that you set up around yourself that hold intention and keep it going while you're not paying attention to it. Did you know that you can create astral machines? Have you ever heard of such a thing? I think I learned that concept from psionics. Was it psionics with Uncle Chucky? Charles Masanato or something? Anybody ever heard of psionics? Damn, what was his name? It won't be difficult to find. Cosimo, Charles Cosimo, that's it. Master of mind control and psionics. Man, y'all better check out that psionics. Or not. Don't check it out. More for me. Eric Trujillo says, what are readings good for, or what can they tell you? Well, I mean, it's like being able to put the emotional and mental atmosphere in words, to put the potential atmosphere around you into words. So everything that we do and that we're capable of doing, before we actually do it, the energy has to be pregnant for it, right? So say for example, here I am and I'm somebody and I want to fall in love. I also want to make $1 million. So those two desires are going to be floating in my atmosphere. Now, depending on how my mental structure is actually set up, depending on how my physical behaviors are actually set up, are going to determine how my connection to those desires and whether or not I'm allowing them to filter into my manifested life. So we all have this cloud of potential around us. When it comes to these readings, you're able to see that cloud of potential. You're able to see the elements involved, the desires involved, the behaviors involved. You're able to get at least a glimpse into that atmosphere. And just because you have intentions doesn't mean that you always manifest them. We all have our ways of getting ourselves stuck. We all know what we're supposed to do. Every single one of us knows what we're supposed to do. But for whatever reason, we don't do those things. Sometimes having a reading can help to clarify your stuckness, which in turn will help you get out. And mostly the stuckness is due to believing that you don't have options. And when you see that you do have options, you choose to not be stuck. Eric says, also, is there certain people you can't read? Like, are they protected? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I think that everybody can be read. Just like in the physical, everyone displays body language. Everyone's brain operates and their mind functions according to certain patterns. If you know how to look at those patterns, you can read anybody, right? With cards or just by looking at them. So I don't believe that there's anybody that cannot be read. Personally, maybe other readers will tell you that there are people that they can't read. But oh yeah, Grabavoy codes. Yeah, that forgot all about that. Angel Serato says Theta Realms is a good channel for sleeping, unrelated. No, absolutely related. This music is from Theta Realms. Theta Realms makes some of the best meditation music, I think. Eric says, okay, can you do me a reading? I want to know if I will be safe and if I'll be alive with issues I'm dealing with. Well, you should be safe if you know, take precautions to be safe. But if you would like for me to do a reading for you, donate to the link that I've posted in the comments. It's pinned at the top. Zero says I take LSD several times and smoke DMT, but I don't know much about things about the realms. Just being a time that I trained my meditation practice, saw a lot of Sadhguru. Well, that's a good person to be in tune with for sure. Absolutely. Zelda music, Mega Man music, all that music I came up with from my Super Nintendo Game Boy days, it still has a special place in my heart and a profound impact when I need it to. That's how you time travel right there. Tap into some of the things that made you feel when you were young. Okay. All right. All right. Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. I've been noticing that too. Like a lot of these songs that like I absolutely became obsessed with, I'll listen to them like on repeat for days or weeks and then like completely forget about them. And all it takes is for somebody in the damn chat to post that line, and tomorrow I'm probably going to be back on that album. Trav, my name is Zero because since a kid I love Zero from Mega Man. Man, Mega Man X was like my all-time favorite game. I love it. All right. All right, everybody. It's great hanging out with you. I enjoy this. I always do. Working on some new things that I think that you'll really appreciate. Getting some organization done for myself, that's for sure, because I need it. Like I said, I kind of fell off for a while. Not too bad, I wasn't out here doing anything strange for a piece of change, but I could have been meditating more, right? I could have been studying more. Like I really could have been doing the work more. And I've recently gradually been coming back into a space where I've made that a part of my life again. So I'm extremely happy to be doing that. And I hope that you are making moves to make this physical reality resonate with and mirror what you got going on in here. Man, everything that you desire is a frequency first. So the easiest way to tap into it or whatever we're talking about, the easiest way to do that is for you to close your eyes and imagine yourself as already having it, already being it. Who would you have to be? What kind of things are you doing on a daily basis? What are you eating? How are you dressed? What are you seeing on a daily basis? If you can put yourself into that zone and just visualize it and amplify the feeling and hold on to it, you're changing yourself. And reality has to comply. It has to. Fuck these folks, man. Fuck everybody else. Nothing anybody else has to say matters. All that matters is that you put yourself on the right frequency. It doesn't matter if all your time is being taken up by a job that you hate, because I did that, right? All my time and all my money was taken up by things that didn't serve me. But I put my mind where I wanted it to be. Abundance is freedom. For me, the most important thing was freedom. And I learned this from my meditation when I got into my subconscious mind. I learned that freedom is so important to me because as a child, I felt like I didn't have it. I felt like I couldn't do anything, right? My dad was so strict. I felt like he was so overbearing. I felt like I didn't have any voice. I couldn't do anything, right? So I've always valued freedom above all things. And I found that even after I moved out, I still felt like I had to be up under somebody. I had to follow somebody's rules. Like I had to be a part of somebody's system, right? Because in my mind, I was still there. But once I learned to free my mind, once I learned to vibrate and resonate and put myself in a place where I was free and believe it, right? So I found this magic stuff. I found these demons and Goetia and meditation and yoga. Like I found the stuff, and what it pointed towards was the fact that my reality is predicated on what I believe and what I see. So I started tinkering with my beliefs. I started tinkering with what I saw, and things started to change. Nobody makes you free. You have to earn your freedom. You have to become free first. And you might be looking for something else. You're probably looking for abundance. You're probably looking for love. You're probably looking for strength, for to be seen as unique. Everyone has the thing that moves them. Well, what I'm saying to you is you got to be there first. You have to become it. In order to become, you have to be. All right. All right. I love you. Thanks for spending time with me. You're going to be fine. Stop worrying. Trust yourself. Trust your intention. Know yourself. All that good stuff. I love Mobius. Mobius does some very thought provoking artwork. Definitely send it to me. All right. Peace out. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. You are doing wonderful things. I love you. Love yourself. Peace.